Welcome everyone to this special live edition of the Raw's Gibby podcast. We are here live doing the Raw post show. Thank you guys for sticking with me during these technical difficulties, but hopefully this problem will be solved in the future. I was trying to get my mic working, but it was not working. And joining me today for this is Justin Baird, as always. And I thank Justin for coming in again. He's just joined in, so we're just going to let him adjust his mic a little bit. But before we get started, just want to plug some stuff very quickly. Before we start, just want to remind everybody I'm going to be on the podcast About Nothing tomorrow, and that's going to be very fun. Nice to be talking to Mark and Jesse from the Pan podcast. Also, too, we got some good stuff coming up on Friday. On Friday, we have a writer from PW Mania and PW Powerhouse. We've got Oliver Norgrove coming in, helping out with Friday Night Talkdown, looking over some of the news. So very excited to see that. If you guys want to get some questions into the Friday Night Talkdown, you can send them to me at Raw's Gibby. I'll have a link down into the description once this video is completed, going up on the live stream. And you can definitely send me a question there, and me and Oliver will definitely answer your questions on that edition of Friday Night Talkdown. So very excited for that. So again, stay tuned. Going to be on the podcast About Nothing, and also too going to be on the Friday Night Talkdown show with Oliver Norgrove, which is going to be very exciting. But anyways, now we've got Justin Baird starting to try and get himself back in. So once we get him patched in, we'll get things going as well. Just to start off on the Raw was okay last night. Nothing special happened. Just it could have been better. I mean, the week before this week, it was all a bunch of promos. Now this week, it's all a bunch of so they really can't find this median really to level out the look of the show, because it's not really the promos were kind of exhaustive after a while, and then and now this week the wrestling matches just took a whole bunch out of you, especially after a 3-hour show. But anyways, I'll just get going on here. We're going to get started first with the Authority promo that happened on yesterday. Started out, this promo was really memorable because of Triple H's constant use of the WWE Network and $9.99 a month. As some of you know who follow me on Twitter know that I posted up a picture of the $9.99 thing through the DX press conference, as some of you know. This was a good promo. It was just to essentially start out things for Raw. Some good stuff happening there. And also, too, Orton seemed very good in the ring. Orton's starting to talk a little bit better. I think he's starting to step up his game a little bit to really get Reigns up to that next level that he needs to really be that megastar. And hopefully Orton won't be a jerk about it, because as some people know in the past, Orton's not the nicest guy in the world. But I think Orton will put him over nicely, because I think at the end of the day, new talent is very much needed at the main event scene, because I've been saying it before. Cena's the only guy that's the main event that can be there day in and day out, and even then, he's kind of doing some part-time appearances. But after Cena, there's no Punk anymore. Daniel Bryan's hurt. Brock Lesnar is a part-timer. We've also got Triple H is essentially a part-timer now. And The Rock is essentially a once-a-match kind of person. So it's not very much. It's not really much of a main event roster, and it's just a bunch of upper card, mid card, lower mid card guys. And if you have a good mid card, that can be all right, but you need to have that solid main event. As I've been saying before, the Attitude Era has had a great main eventers. They had people that can fill in. Obviously, they had Stone Cold and The Rock, but they also had Taker. They also had Kane for a bit. They had Mick Foley, They had Triple H. And, they had those guys that could fill in. They had Angle. They had a bunch of guys that could really fill in and take that, crown and really run with it. And even Big Show for a little bit could hold his own on the main event scene. Not very long, but at least he could hold his own. And they had 9 guys in the main event. Right now, there's only one person in the main event that people can look at and say, yes, he's a main eventer. As of right now, if there was, and even with Daniel Bryan coming back, there's still only 2 guys. They need to have a lot more than that to really help them moving forward. But anyways, the Authority promo was pretty good. I liked some of the stuff that happened. So it was some good stuff happening through the Authority promo. And after that, it was announced that it was a last man standing match between Kane and Reigns, which I wasn't looking forward to as much. But hey, Reigns really stepped it up here. So as I said before, last man standing match with Roman Reigns. This was all right, I guess. Considering that the Demon Kane is not really at his true form anymore, because he's really getting older. And I think, as some people saw on Raw with him giving the mask, just a bit of a spoiler alert, but if you saw Raw, you'd want to see this. After seeing that mask, I think we're getting closer and closer to a retirement for Kane. It's just in terms of the last man standing match, good stuff happening in the match. I liked where it was going. There was some interesting stuff, and Reigns really held his own during that. Reigns, I think Reigns can be that guy that can really catapult into the main event and really be a star. I really like Reigns, and I think he can do it. By the way, he wrestled Kane in the last man standing match. I think that became evident because Kane is not really the best wrestler, especially in that company. So I think Reigns really did a good job. Some good stuff happening in the match. It really made Reigns look good in the match, in my opinion. So definitely a good match. I'd give it out of 5. I'd probably give it a 3. Not because it was a bad match, because Reigns really stood his ground, but as a match itself, if it wasn't Kane and Reigns in there, it would probably be a bit lower. But I didn't like it as much as other people did. But Reigns did look pretty good in it, and so it really helped benefit both of them. So I just got word that unfortunately Justin will not be part of the post show tonight. Disappointing. So I'm just gonna be taking over. But anyways, we are gonna move on next to the next segment of the show. We had the big promo that was probably, in my opinion, the best promo in WWF history. I'm going to say that right now. I said WWF. It's WWE history. I think that promo was the best WWE promo in history of WWE. I think that promo really was a solid promo. It was unscripted. It felt real. You felt like there was really, a passion between these guys, that they wanted to show something. Lesnar was just awesome during it. Lesnar, a lot of people criticize Lesnar as a guy who can't talk very well in the ring, and he made that self-evident. But obviously, too, he was talking in a pre-recorded promo, so that's not really saying much. On a live mic, he's not very good. But if you give him pre-recorded stuff like he did in UFC, boy, he can really, grab the ball and get just really, really good job on Lesnar's part. And Cena held his own very well, too. I thought Cena was really good in this promo. Again, I'm not one of those Cena haters. I do respect John Cena and what he's been able to do for the company. But at the same time, it was, I see why people don't like Cena. I've said it before in past videos on why people don't like Cena, so you could definitely check those out. But essentially, I've said that his character doesn't evolve really. to a new standard. Like Rock evolved, and Austin even evolved, Hogan evolved, to a new character that really made fans like them. While Cena's kind of been stuck at that same character for 10 years now, 12 years. So, anyways, a great promo. The only weird part of that promo was at the end when Brock Lesnar was saying he was going to leave John Cena in blood, urine, and vomit. That was a little, I mean, the blood part maybe, but the urine and the vomit was kind of unnecessary. I bet you at the end of that tape promo that Lesnar was laughing after what he said, and I wouldn't be surprised because that was a little bit too silly. But other than that, it was a solid promo. I think that if not the best one, definitely one of the better ones that have ever been recorded for WWE television. I said WWF again. But yeah, it was a great promo, and I really liked it. I thought it really helped build up that main event match and made it really feel special, like it really is the battle of the summer, and it made people forget about Lesnar and Cena from Extreme Rules, so yeah, it was a great promo, and again, one of the best promos in WWF history, if not ever, So anyways, after that awesome promo, we had a not so great match between Mark Henry and Damien Sandow. As Mark Henry made his big return, I was hoping that Sandow would come out as Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would have garnered some major heat. But unfortunately, he came out as a Boomer Sooner, as some of you Oklahoma fans know. He came out to JR's songs, and I thought he was coming out as JR, but unfortunately that didn't happen either. And so essentially, Damien Sandow was playing up the rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, as some people know, down in the States. And then Justin Roberts introduced Mark Henry to the ring, made his grand return. Still has that big beard down coming to the ring. So he still looks like Rick Ross, which is interesting look for Mark Henry. But I think actually this bearded look for Henry makes him look tougher. I just don't think they've been utilizing him well at all. But anyway, Sandow and Mark Henry fought. Obviously, Mark Henry coming from Texas won, and Mark Henry took him with the world's strongest slam that took forever to get the slam going, not because of any injury or anything like that, but because he was kind of playing up to the crowd. But it was eventually like, all right, put him down for the slam, just get him down. And so this match was just filler match. I'm getting sick and tired of these filler matches. I'm finding them boring. If you're going to put in filler matches, make them some decent matches. You've got a lot of guys on the roster still, even with all these budget cuts. Even with all these budget cuts, there's still a lot of guys on the roster, so they should utilize some of those guys. Maybe bring back Gabriel and Tyson Kidd and bring back Airstrike, I think it was, that tag team. They need some tag teams right now. Just use some new guys. Just show them off, Make something exciting in the middle. It doesn't have to involve a storyline. Just make them exciting, So not a bunch of this Damien Sandow stuff, who is being criminally unutilized in that company right now in terms of his speaking ability and even his wrestling ability as well. So it was just squash match. Reintroduce Mark Henry. Hopefully this leads to something for Mark Henry down the road. Maybe something for the U.S. title or Intercontinental title. Maybe Mark Henry faces Rusev. That could be an interesting opponent. Because Mark Henry versus Rusev would definitely be a great rivalry and could really get Rusev over after Jack Swagger. So yeah, this was not a great match. So yeah, let's just move on to the next match. We had the Beat the Clock Challenge. This Beat the Clock Challenge came after Triple H announced that Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. It was a little bit complicated, but at the end of the day, what it came down to was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were in Beat the Clock matches. If Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins had to win their matches in order to set the time, if either of them lost, the other got to choose their stipulation. for their match coming up at SummerSlam. So in this case, Dean Ambrose beat Alberto Del Rio with a time of 15 minutes and 42 seconds. And this match was all right. It had some good moments. Del Rio's always had some good in-ring ability. Del Rio's already got some good in-ring ability, and Ambrose is, Ambrose. He's got great mic skills and some good in-ring wrestling ability as well. It was a solid match, and a lot of good stuff happening in the match. So Dean Ambrose won in 15 minutes 42 seconds. That was the time to beat for Seth Rollins later on in the night. And again, solid match. I wish they could do more with Del Rio. He's not really been the guy to carry that title. I know he's carried it. God, how many time? I believe he's carried the WWE Championship twice, I believe, and he's carried the World Heavyweight Championship, I think, twice as well, or 3 times. I don't know. But he's a world champion, and, now that Rodriguez is gone, as I said last week on Friday Night Talkdown, which you can check out, that, Ricardo Rodriguez really got Del Rio over, because Del Rio wasn't really that charismatic on his own, but when Rodriguez was there with him, it really got both of them over, really. So Rodriguez not being there is not as a big blow to Del Rio. And Ambrose had some great moments in it. Very very much like Brian Pillman. So I'm liking where it's going for. I'm liking where it's going for Ambrose. Hopefully, it leads to some bigger role in the future after Rollins, but I guess we'll see. But anyways, this was a solid match. Definitely one of the better matches in the show compared to some of the other matches. So yeah, it was a good match, and this led to our next match, which didn't even happen on WWE programming. This made me mad. Come on, man! You can't put your show onto the WWE app. You can't put your entire match on the WWE app. That's just you're screwing the fans out of wrestling. And I know it's Sin Cara versus Rusev, and we all know Rusev's gonna beat Sin Cara because it's quite predictable. But come on, at least show the match. I know people were saying, where you get spared, a squash match. But do you want a match? Do you want a match cut off from television to be put on an app that the WWE clearly wants you to install, just like the WWE Network? You know why they did that on the WWE app? I realize this. They put this on the WWE app because the WWE app has a WWE Network, so they put Sin Cara versus Rusev on there, saying that you're going to miss matches unless you download the WWE app. Then you see the WWE Network, and you want to get the network, and life goes on, and it's just, come on, WWE. Don't waste your time saying that there's going to be a match on TV, and then not show the match. Just like that finish a couple of weeks ago with Cesaro and Kofi Kingston. Come on, man. Don't rip off your consumer base. And to those within the company talking about the WWE Network, saying about how they're upset with the numbers they're getting, and the people saying, the reason why they're having these big matches to get network subscribers. WWE, you want network subscribers? If you really want network subscribers, improve your product. Make people want to buy your stuff. Not a bunch of this baloney about, the network subscriptions expire next week or something like that. So we need to get some big matches in order to renew subscriptions. You know what? Have a great show every single week. Show some great programming. Then people will buy your stuff. And that's essentially it. You don't rely on this fact that at the end of network subscriptions and all that, and these time periods, you want good stuff. You want people to download your stuff. Put on a good product, and people will download. I guarantee it. People want you to succeed. People want the WWE Network to succeed, but you're making the product not so good, and that's why there's so many wrestling podcasters like me out there criticizing WWE on the weekly, because sometimes these decisions that WWE does is just absolutely ludicrous. Anyways, going off from that, going back on topic, it's amazing what a Sin Cara and Rusev match can do to your sanity. But we didn't get to see this match because it was put on the WWE app because we got scammed out of it, in my opinion. But after the match, the promo and all that, really good stuff. I really liked what was going on there. It's kind of what we've been seeing every week. But sometimes stick to the formula that works. It's not really getting repetitive. There's some new stuff added every week that makes it even more interesting. It's interesting that this match between Rusev and Swagger is going to be a flag match. That's going to be interesting because, no matter what happens, they both won't look bad if they lose because they can't lose by pinfall. So, that could be it could be some interesting stuff going down at SummerSlam with this flag match. And I think both guys are both good, capable workers. So I think they can pull off the match well. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a great promo afterwards. Just obviously, I went on my little rant about the WWE app. Just essentially at the end of the day, if you want people to subscribe to your stuff, make your product awesome or good. Something instead of mediocre, then really, really good, and then go back to mediocrity. Be consistent, and that's how you'll get better in the WWE. Anyways, after that, we'll move on to Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro. This match was a letdown for me because it was short. If they gave them more time, I think it would have been a lot better. Miz on commentary, and Miz was all right on commentary, I guess. He's a good talker, the Miz. Not the greatest wrestler, but definitely a great talker. So I think Miz was all right. It was just kind of disappointing. I kind of was expecting more between Ziggler and Cesaro because they're two very good workers. It was just disappointing to watch. But in terms of a booking standpoint, I guess it was good booking to really continue the feud between Ziggler and Miz. So yeah, it was all right, I guess. The promo afterwards, yes. The match itself was very, very disappointing. So it was a disappointing night, anyways. So yeah, this match wasn't a good match. Considering these two guys, anyways, it's probably a really good match for other wrestlers. But in terms of the two wrestling capabilities between Cesaro and Ziggler combined, that's not the best wrestling that they could do. So yeah, it was just standard textbook booking in order to continue the feud between Ziggler and Miz. I'm very disappointed to see how they're booking Cesaro. I wish if you're gonna stick to a plan, if you got a plan, stick to it. I mean, they've been planning to turn him face for the longest time, playing this massive face run. You can't drop the ball right now, especially when your main event talent is very, very low right now, and you need to build talent. Cesaro can really be that guy that can help elevate himself into the main event, just like Wyatt and just like Reigns, and Ziggler too. All these guys that can really go into the main event and help out, in my opinion. So yeah, this match was very, very much disappointing in my opinion. So yeah, we'll just move on, and this is where the show started to get a little dull. Goldust and Stardust versus Ryback. I'm glad to see that they decided not to continue with the storyline of this key, which is very disappointing. Even though the WWE commentators were mentioning it, nothing about the key was mentioned during the match between Rhodes and Goldust, as in them talking back and forth with each other. So it was just nothing much happened. It was kind of like you've seen this match a bunch of times before, so it's just never ending. It's just kind of you know what's going to happen, so why do you keep booking it? So it just kind of got boring, and this is like the part of the show where I just got tired. I was tired of seeing it. So yeah, it was just not the best. I wish it was better, but hopefully it will get better soon for Rhodes and Goldust. I'm not gonna call him Stardust because I don't like this gimmick. I'm just gonna keep calling him Cody Rhodes because we all know who that is. It's Cody Rhodes. But yeah, it was. I think Cody Rhodes is embracing the Stardust gimmick. It's just I don't buy into this Stardust thing. I find it just very, very silly, And Cody Rhodes is much more talented to be Stardust. He could be a lot better. But yeah, what can you expect? It's Goldust and Stardust versus Ryback again, and Goldust and Stardust winning. Like what are you gonna do? But let's just move on from that, and we'll go to Chris Jericho versus Luke Harper. Another very disappointing. I thought it was just it wasn't good. It just nothing like stood out in that match. And again, two very capable workers that can really put on a good match. Jericho and Harper. It's just very disappointing to see that they couldn't have a good match. So we had Wyatt coming in. And at the end, doing Sister Abigail on Chris Jericho. And it was just, the match itself was not good, in my opinion. Some others may disagree, but I didn't find this match anything entertaining at all. I thought it was quite boring. It's just, I wish it could have been better, because I know these two workers can really work some good matches. So yeah, I didn't really like this match. Again, booking wise, good stuff happened. Really got the guys over, and it was just good booking, not great matches to go with that booking. So hopefully they can do better. I think they will do better eventually, but yeah, it's just I want them to do better. I think they can do better. So I'm hoping this Bray Wyatt Jericho match can be good, because the last one was not very good at all. But the way they've been building up the storyline again still got people excited, so that's some good booking on WWE's part. So yeah, it was some good stuff in terms of booking again, but matches were not very good. So I'll move on from that now, and we'll go to Diego versus Fandango. This had nothing to do with anything. This was not a good match. Nothing happened. It was not funny. Let's move on. So we go on to R-Truth versus Bo Dallas. I thought they were going to do a Bo Dallas losing streak, but unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you put it, Bo Dallas won, which surprised me, because I thought maybe they would do a losing streak angle, which could be very, very interesting to do. And I think a losing streak angle could be an interesting way to build up a heel character for Bo Dallas, because I think they've now realized, I think they're moving forward with a heel Bo Dallas, and I think that could be the right decision. Cocky heel, is oblivious to the fact that people don't like him. He did that in NXT, and he can certainly do that again here in WWE. So yeah, it was some good stuff. I was surprised again that Bo Dallas won, and he won by cheating too. So it's not really a good idea because let's face it, like R-Truth is glorified now. He's not really a mid-card worker. He kind of just loses to a bunch of guys. If you're losing to R-Truth, if you have to cheat to win against R-Truth, your character isn't really going anywhere. So I wonder what they're going to do with Bo Dallas now. So interesting to see where they'll go with this. I thought they were going to do a losing streak angle, which could have been interesting and made Bo Dallas a little bit more interesting as well. And he's a heel, and that's a heel thing too, so that could be good to really build up his heel character. Yeah, it was just it was not good booking wise or match wise, because it was short. So yeah, that's essentially what I think of that. And so we move on to the second Beat the Clock match, which was originally going to be Rob Van Dam versus Seth Rollins, but then the Authority announced that he was going to face Heath Slater. Seth Rollins was. So this was interesting. And then Ambrose came out during the match and just kept taunting Rollins. He tore the contract apart from after going into his briefcase, and also to there he took a soda and popcorn and was just kind of like hanging out at ringside, and he took JBL's hat. So it was interesting to see where it led, and it led to Heath Slater winning with a roll up, which surprised a lot. Upset angle here. It didn't hurt, so I thought this was good booking, and it got Ambrose over even more. It's some good stuff. I thought it was good booking wise. The match itself between Slater and Rollins, I guess it was pretty good considering that Slater now has more minutes to work with instead of just like 2 or 3. He had like I think it was like 5 minutes to work with. And it was it was good for Heath Slater. He's been working hard and he kept losing a lot, so it's very much protected right now. But and it didn't hurt Rollins in my opinion. I think it kept Rollins strong as a heel. After, because of the Slater beating Rollins, Dean Ambrose won the Beat the Clock challenge. And on going to be announced on SmackDown, as I've just seen this right here. On SmackDown, it's going to be Ambrose announcing what his stipulation will be. I think the stipulation will be for the Money in the Bank contract. It has to be, really. I mean, what else are they going to do? Maybe a street fight for the Money in the Bank. Maybe a street fight, for the Money in the Bank contract. But I guess we'll see on SmackDown. But the match itself was all right, I guess. But great booking throughout, So I think this was really good. So the final segment of the show, we had the contract signing between Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon. Brie Bella came out, and Stephanie McMahon as well, and they kept insulting each other. The standout moment from that segment was Stephanie McMahon doing the pedigree on Nikki Bella and Brie Bella. That was awesome to see, and it really helped build up the match for SummerSlam. This is going to be a big match, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon feud holds up on SummerSlam, and hopefully they can deliver a good match, I guess, considering Stephanie McMahon's abilities as a wrestler. So yeah, I think it could be interesting where this goes. So yeah, this was a great segment to end the show, and it was cool to see Stephanie McMahon whip out the pedigree. So again, this show as a whole, the matches were not very good. There was a lot of disappointing matches. The only good matches during that show was the Last Man Standing match and the 2 Beat the Clock challenge matches. The other matches were not very good, or they weren't even seen at all. So it was just it was this show gets a 4 out of 10. I'm not Bret Hart, don't worry. This show gets a 4 out of 10 for me because of how disappointing some of the matches were, and some of the booking decisions made. There was some good booking, but there were other times where it wasn't very good booking. And also too, the Last Man Standing match was good. The 2 Beat the Clock challenge matches were good, but the rest of the matches of that night were not very good at all. So it was interesting to see how they did without Cena, Bryan, Punk, Lesnar. They had Triple H, Paul Heyman. They didn't have the Usos on, which I realized. And these top faces, and top heels. Interesting to see how they were able to work it in, and it wasn't very good. I mean, Reigns was a good key point, but it should be a wake-up call to WWE that they need more talent in the main event scene to really get over, to really get their product better and really help them out in the future. So, anyways, that was the Raw post show. Usually I have it in a more cooler style, but my microphone is not working on the software right now. So reverting back to old school here with the classic Google Hangout talk with the Raw post show. But hopefully I can get it back up and running in the future. But anyways, in the future, we're going to have Friday Night Talkdown again. We're going to have Friday Night Talkdown with Oliver Norgrove of PW Mania and PW Powerhouse. Very nice guy, and writes some very good columns on both sites. So I definitely urge you to go check out his articles. And I'm excited to have him join me on the Friday Night Talkdown show. And also, too, I'm going to be featured on the podcast About Nothing with Mark and Jesse. That's going to be really cool. So we're going to be talking Raw. We're going to be talking also TNA Hardcore Justice, the tapings that are currently going on right now. And that's going to be some interesting stuff also. And again, for Friday Night Talkdown, I'll be taking questions. Me and Oliver Norgrove will be taking questions. So you can tweet them to me at @RawAsGibby and send them with the hashtag AskGibby. And me and Oliver will be able to answer your questions after we take a look at some of the top news going on in WWE, TNA, all that. And so thank you all for tuning in to the Raw post show. Thank you also for adhering to the technical difficulties, but I'm glad you guys stuck through. Again, check out some of my other videos. Again, I did an interview with Jordan Roberts and an interview with Brian Keith. Jordan Roberts, NFL, CFL running back. Definitely go check that out. Brian Keith, wrestler for Reality of Wrestling. Definitely go check that out as well. Pan podcast, that's going to be cool. And again, going to be doing Friday Night Talkdown with Oliver Norgrove of PW Mania and PW Powerhouse. So again, check those out, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you for tuning in.